Connor. In it today, we're covering the college football weekend, going over the BC and Legends Corner top 25 AP poll. Let's send it to Nathan for the first team.
All right, so at first, number one, we got Georgia. They beat UAB 49-21. Michael Williams was out with illness, but they still have the best defense in college football.
Yeah, I completely agree. As we go next to Michigan, they beat Rutgers 31-7. JJ McCarthy on point, 214 yards and a TD. The Rutgers did keep it close early though, but
Yes, I
obviously,
had that one big rushing touchdown.
yeah. But they ended up still blowing them out. Let's send Nathan for number 3.
Next, we got Texas. Texas beat Baylor 38-6. Quinn Ewers had a great game in the passing game at 293 yards and a touchdown. He was also sacked three times. The offensive line needs to help him out. But Jonathan Brooks also had over 100 yards on the ground. So overall, a really good win for the
Yeah,
Longhorns.
great win. Great win for Baylor. Of course, they're now to number 4. We have Ohio State beat number 11 Notre Dame 17-14. Kyle McCord threw for 240, but no touchdowns. Trayvon Henderson, though, top running back prospect in the upcoming draft for me, had over 100 yards in the TD. But Marvin Harrison did come out late with an ankle injury. Do you think that concerns you at all?
No, I think he's still going to be like top 5 in the NFL draft this year. And this was a really close, tight game.
I agree. It was a great game. What about number 5, Nathan?
We got Florida State. They beat Clemson 31-24, which was a great game. Jordan Travis threw for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jared Verse had 4 tackles and 0 sacks. So
Yeah,
overall,
honestly, I mean, continue.
a very good game for Florida, and to beat Clemson is just good for them all around. They're up to 5, obviously. So Florida State's turned around in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and of course, I feel like Jordan Travis threw for 289 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I feel like these next 2 upcoming quarterback classes are going to be very interesting with Shooter Sanders, Jordan Travis,
Mm-hmm.
DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, that's not even ignoring the top guys like, Drake May and Caleb Williams. So I'm really excited to see how this all pans out.
Yeah.
As for number 6, Penn State beat Iowa 31-0. Drew Aller threw for 166 yards and 4 touchdowns, kept Iowa under 100 yards total. Penn State only up 10-0 at half, but the Iowa offense was just non-existent. This Penn State defense
This was a
was suffocating.
surprising. Yeah, this was a surprising one. Penn State is good, but Iowa's been good, so their defense just broke down.
Honestly, you say it's a defense. The 0 points and under 100 yards, that's on the offense there. Turned the ball over a lot, especially had a couple of turnovers in the first half. That really was the reason that they were down 10-0. So I expected more out of Iowa, but
Yeah,
31-0 win for Penn State.
you can see there's turnovers on the Penn State side, on the Iowa State side. Sorry, 166 yards and 4 touchdowns. You can just see those turnovers were right there for Penn State. They didn't
Yeah,
have to feel very long.
yeah, the short field, which probably doesn't have a lot of yards, but he's ended up making those into touchdowns. Let's send you to number 7.
All right, we got Washington with a big win, 59-32 over Cal. Michael Penix Jr. threw for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. Romeo Dunze had over 100 yards on 5 receptions. Michael Penix is going to be a very good quarterback coming up in this draft class.
Yeah, interesting lefty. I'm kind of excited because I don't know if he's going to go first, but I
Yeah,
feel like a team like the Bucks might pick him up. Like a team that is not looking for a quarterback in the first, but second or third. I feel like he's going to be a great left-handed option. I'm
yeah.
interested to see how he pans out. And he, if you remember last year, had over 5,000 yards and 40-plus touchdowns, or at least 30-plus. I don't have to go back and look, but he was amazing last year stat-wise.
Mm-hmm.
We go to number 8, USC. Beat Arizona State 42-28. Caleb Williams had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. They play Colorado next week. I got to tell you, Nathan, Caleb Williams is the best quarterback prospect I've ever seen. Just complete, well-rounded. The Trojans haven't scored. This was their first game scoring less than 50 points this year, and they still scored 42. I want to hear your thoughts on that one.
So Colorado, first of all, man, they obviously weren't as good as we were thinking. Didn't have Travis Hunter, but the offensive line and defense for Colorado was just terrible. But yeah, Caleb Williams is going to be number one in this draft class unless the Cardinals are number one. Then he said he will go back to college. But this USC team is destined for greatness.
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams is going to win another Heisman. Let's send it to you for number 9.
So we got Oregon, my personal favorite team, but they beat Colorado 42-6, just like I was saying. Bo Nix is having a great year, Heisman winner, and he's going to be
Another
a
great quarterback.
276 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The Oregon sacked Saunders 7 times and held him to less than 200 yards, which is really good. To second Colorado not doing very well, they have dropped from 19th ranked out of the top 25. So Colorado is not looking too good right now. And they got
Honestly, I was kind of shocked that they dropped out completely. I mean, Iowa dropped out as well. I thought Colorado might have grabbed that 25 spot. But back to Zach Sanders, that line, you just can't allow a team to get to your quarterback 7 times.
Shedeur Sanders just had no time to throw
Yeah,
the
and
ball.
Bo Nix, a great dual threat quarterback.
Missing his top receiver too, and Travis Hunter, and that's a big blow. But for the offensive side for Oregon, I think Troy Franklin, he's doing really well. Tez Johnson, Bo Nix's adopted brother, I mean, he's doing really well.
Yeah,
And,
Oregon looks good.
Yeah.
Moving on to 10, we got Utah. Nothing much here. Beat UCLA 14-7. Only 117 yards for Nate Johnson. Clearly a defensive game, but Jonah Ellis had 3.5 sacks on the day for Utah. What do you think?
I think this is if you like defense, this is the game you want to watch. I mean, great defensive game, another game in the Pac-12.
Yeah, moving on to number 11. What do you think, Nate?
Another game. They lost number 4 ranked Ohio State in a very close defensive game. Sam Hartman had 175 yards passing and a touchdown. They'll play Duke next week, which I think they should get the win.
They beat Ole Miss 24-10. Jalen Monroe, the quarterback, had 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Jason McClellan had 17 carries for 105 yards, 1 TD. They play Mississippi State next week. I want to get your thoughts on the Alabama offense and if you think they're going to be able to, get back to that Bryce Young form they had last year.
This was a very, very tight game at halftime. It was like I think it was 7-6 or 7-7.5. But Alabama just took off with it, and Jace McClean just had a really good game. Jalen Miller only 1 interception. 1 interception or 1 touchdown is not very good, but hey, whatever you got to do to win. I don't think they're going to be back to the Bryce Young form they were in, but you never know.
Yeah, I also think Dallas Turner and that defense are going to be better than they have been in the last couple of years. Moving on to number 13, LSU beat Arkansas 35-31. Malik Nabers and Brian Robinson Jr. with more than 125 receiving yards and 2 touchdown catches for the first time in school history. They play Ole Miss next week. LSU just keeps producing elite wide receivers. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yep. Wide receivers after wide receivers. These guys are going to be in the NFL soon to come, and can't wait to see it.
Honestly. What about you for Oklahoma?
They beat Cincinnati 20-6. This was going to be a really good game, and it ended up getting away from Cincinnati. But Dylan Gabriel had 322 yards and a touchdown. Stellar defense, getting 2 interceptions and 2 sacks, which is just crazy.
Yeah,
Now,
great defense by OSU. Or OUS, should I say, Oklahoma Sooners.
now
Moving on to number. What do you want to say?
I'm now number 15.
All right. North Carolina beat Pitt 41-24.
Drake Maye. They beat Pitt 41-24. Drake Maye had 296 yards and a touchdown. J.J. Jones had 6 receptions for 117 yards.
Yeah, Drake Maye just proving, once again, Heisman candidate, 40-plus points. Elite Tar Heels offense here. I do not think, though, that they will be in contention for a national championship, though.
Be another bowl game.
Yeah, I also don't think Maye's going to win the Heisman. I think Caleb or Shooter Sanders are going to get it.
Or Bo Nix, they'll count them out.
Honestly, my bad, man. 16, Washington State, 38-35. Close game over Oregon State. Cameron Ward went off with over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Josh Kelly, 8 reg, 159 yards, 3 TDs. Let me just say something. Cameron Ward just what a performance. 400 yards, 4
A
touchdowns. Love to see it.
Heisman performance right there from both those guys, actually. It's crazy.
Honestly. Believe it or not, I'm pretty sure Josh Kelly wasn't even the only receiver over 150 yards. I believe there
Yeah.
was another
He's
guy.
the one that he almost had all 4 touchdowns that went
Yeah.
past.
Yeah, almost crazy. Number
Yeah.
17, Nathan.
Duke beat UConn 41-7. Now it's UConn. We know UConn's not that good. Honestly, I think Duke is going to drop next game. But Riley Leonard is proving to be a good quarterback and highly underrated. He threw for 248 yards, a touchdown, while leading the team in rushing with 30 yards on the ground. Obviously, no rushing game for Duke.
Yeah.
But Duke's defense had 2 sacks and found a way to blow out UConn.
Yeah, another note on Riley Leonard. If he does enter the draft, then probably will in the next 2 years. I think he is going to be a quality backup 4th, 5th round pick who
Yeah.
potentially could be a solid starter in the NFL. I just don't think he's going to go in those first 3 rounds. But
Yeah.
solid pick if you're a team like, I don't know, the
Mhm.
Eagles or maybe the Chiefs trying to look for a long-term backup for one of your franchise QBs. I feel like Leonard could be the answer there.
Yeah.
Moving on to 18, Miami beat Temple 41-7. Tyler Van Dyke had 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Takori Couch had 2 interceptions for the Hurricanes. I don't think I pronounced his name right, but stellar offense and defense here in Miami. What do you think?
This draft is going to have a stacked quarterback class, and it's going to make this NFL very interesting. But the way that these guys will have to adapt to it, we'll just see if they're a bust or a superstar.
Yeah, and as for the Miami defense, Takori Couch, just one of the many stars. I mean, James Williams,
Mm-hmm.
6'5". He's linebacker at safety. Looks like very interesting. And they've got another guy, I believe, who's back there. Is it? He's a dog safety, but Miami great defense and Van Dyke put on a show on offense. Moving on to number 19, Nathan.
Oregon State, they lost to Washington State, obviously 38-35. Very good game. DJ Ugalali, a transfer from Clemson, had just under 200 yards and a touchdown. Deshaun Funwick had over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, and not much defense. And really, no defense in this game, and it's obvious.
It
Both
really was.
good, and they're trying to prove themselves, maybe get higher in the draft. I don't know. Trying to make their teams better.
Fenwick, great game from him. Over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hope to see him improve on that. Maybe get a spot in the draft. You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Moving on to number 20, Ole Miss, 24-10 lost to Alabama. Jackson Dart was not throwing darts yesterday, and we had 244 yards and interception, but got sacked 5 times. But Ole Miss also got after Alabama's quarterback 4 times.
Yep. That offensive line has to hold up better, but like I said earlier, it was a close game at half, and then Ole Miss let it get away.
Yeah, Ole Miss, the line's most important things in this game. What do you think about Tennessee?
They beat UTSA 45-14. Joe Milton III had 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dylan Sampson had 133 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 carries. On 11 carries for 133 yards, that is insane. I mean, you're talking about if he had one less carry and 133 yards, that's 13.3 yards per carry. That's just insane.
Yeah, that's what a game. Joe Milton as well out there, just being what they needed him to be, solid out there. Obviously, UTSA isn't obviously still D1 school. They're good at football, but just not quite on Tennessee's level. Moving on to 22, Florida Gators beat Charlotte 22-7. Graham Mertz, 259 yards, touchdown. Ricky Parcell had 104 yards on 6 receptions. Honestly, my takeaways from this game is Florida Gators got it done. Charlotte, not the best team in the world. Once again, D1. Don't want to disrespect anyone. They're going to play higher than I will. But I would say the Gators, they're just the better team, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They played good defensively, played above average offensively, and got the job done. And we'll see what they're able to do next week.
All right, moving to number 23, Mizzou, one of my personal favorites again. They beat Memphis 34-27. This was a very good game. Brady Cook showed he is a Heisman contender this game with 341 yards.
Yeah.
Also,
Brady Cook train.
I want to talk about Luther Burden. 10 receptions for 177 yards. That's 17.7 yards per reception. I mean, I can't wait to see him in the NFL and maybe the next year or two. He's a sophomore right now. He could enter the draft after next year or his senior year. He is a St. Louis kid, so close to home, and he's really. I'm excited to see this young man in the NFL. They play Vanderbilt next week, which should be another win for Mizzou.
Mizzou. Did you see the game they had against K-State last week as well?
61-yarder from
Yeah, he's going to be an NFL kicker.
yeah.
Moving on to 24, we got Kansas Jayhawks, BYU 38-27. Jalen Daniels threw 3 touchdowns, 130 yards. They play Texas next week.
I think
Jalen,
he's gonna obliterate him.
I
There's
think Texas will beat KU as well, but I'm not counting them out. I think KU might have a chance, but my biggest thing here is the Jayhawks got it done. They're doing same thing they did last year. They have a lot of offense, not a lot of defense, and I think that's when it's going to get them beat by Texas next week. I don't know if they're going to have an answer for Ewers and Worthy and company, and I just don't think they're going to be quite good enough. But this is a good one here, and I don't know if they're going to be here next week, but we'll see. Moving on to our last team, number 25. Nathan, why don't you go ahead and tell us for us?
Well, it's Fresno State. They beat Kent State 53-10. Obviously, Kent State's not very good, but they're D1, like you said, higher than I'll be. But Mikey Keene threw 325 yards and 3 scores. Elijah Gilliam added 2 touchdowns on the ground for the Surging Bulldogs. They'll play Nevada next week, which I think should be another win. They should be climbing up in the ranks.
Yeah, Fresno State, great, solid team. Excited to see what they do. 53-10.
Yeah.
Obviously, an outstanding game. I mean, offensively and defensively.
I'd like to add something. I think Fresno State is a highly underrated team in this college football.
I agree. No, I think that's it. But I will say this, Nathan. I know this doesn't really have much to do. I am really excited for when they expand the college football playoffs because, teams like Fresno State and we go back like 12 Alabama could actually make the college football playoffs instead of just looking at the top 4 teams.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited. But that's all we got for today. I'm Carter, and I'm out of here. See ya.